Hello all, I hope all is well and that you've all been having a productive and enjoyable week. This week, as we continue with our weekly portion readings, we have Toladot, which in English means generations or the descendants. I want to focus on the blessing that Isaac gives Jacob and whether or not Jacob took that blessing properly or not. There is a complaint from Esau after he hears about the theft of the blessing, which is in a somewhat like a complicit matter, where he mentions to Isaac. He says, "Was he then named Jacob that he might supplant me these two times? First he took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my blessing." Genesis 27:36. Esau is revealing over here to Isaac that there was this sale agreement about the birthright, and seemingly he was not aware of this. And up until now, he also didn't realize that the blessing was taken away in deceit. So we need to understand a little more, and we're going to dive into the conversation about the sale of the birthright. So when Esau is returning from the field, in Genesis 25:29, it mentions, and he was wary. Ayef, sometimes it means famished, but he was wary. In the Bible, generally speaking, the term weary implies that someone is disheartened or exhausted from the world. We see this in Jeremiah when it says, "Woe is me, for my soul is weary." We see this in Deuteronomy, which relates a little to Amalek when it talks about, "And you will be weary and worn out and not fear of God." And there's other examples of this as well. So when Esau says to Jacob, "Please feed me with the same red stew, for I am weary," in Hebrew, the word "I" is Anochi, which immediately connects us to Exodus 20, talks about "I am the Lord your God." Anochi Hashem Elokecha. Anochi, I, meaning God. So here, seemingly, Esau is saying, and long before Nietzsche, he's mentioning, "Behold, I am going to die." In Genesis 25:32, from his perspective, God is dead. Behold, I, Anochi, is going to die. And if so, why do I need this birthright? The world itself has lost meaning for Esau, so he decides to sell the birthright. He's saying, I don't trust in this concept God that my father is talking about. So all this existence and the things that are connected to it, like a hierarchy of blessings or responsibilities, I'm not interested in any of that. After this deal happens, we see that Esau says, "And Esau ate and drank and arose and went." This is Genesis 25:34. And only after this, Esau despised the birthright, which is happening a few words later. In other words, Esau's decision that the birthright is not worth more than the lentil stew is a decision that he made like with the clarity of mind. He wasn't tricked. Rather, he decided that this is no longer something he wants to pursue or something he doesn't believe in anymore. So then the question arises, if this is true, why did Jacob have to resort to a scheme to obtain it if it was anyways rightfully his because Esau doesn't want it? So to answer this, we have to realize that we use schemes precisely because we know that these are ideals that are worth working towards. At first glance, it'd be much easier if God decided to command Isaac directly to just give the blessing to Jacob, and we would avoid all this drama. But that would be a world where God is acting alone, and that's not the world we're living in. And God is giving us a world where we need to discover the divine morality amidst all the complications that life gives us. The name Jacob itself in Hebrew, Yaakov, means akev or akuv. And this comes from convoluted or entangled. And while Israel, we talk about wrestling with God, kisarita imel, but Israel also means yashar el, meaning to strive to be straightforward. Yashar means straight with God. The success of transitioning from Jacob to Israel happens in a world where there's falsehood. And one needs to succeed using the tools before him to reach the desired divine truth. And we see in Psalms, David is alluding to this as well when he mentions in Psalms 18:26-27, With the kind, you show yourself kind. With the pure, you show yourself pure. With the crooked, you show yourself shrewd. And this is an example of where we need to use the complicated tools that we have in this world and strive, like I said, towards the divine truth. There is a lot of disinformation out there on with regards to this conflict that we have, but larger than the conflict, we also have discussions between other world religions. We have discussions with our politics, with our political leaders, with our teachers, with our neighbors, and we should realize that we should be using the tools that we have with us to try to strive to better understand each other and understand that we could take something that's convoluted, but if if we look at it through the prism of God and what He's expecting from us, perhaps we'll be able to peel off those layers of deception and see the truth that lies inside. Um, I bid you guys a fantastic Shabbat and a restful weekend.